The final score says 1-1. But this game was not as balanced as it looks. Real Madrid had the better chances, the sharper attack, and still walked away without a win against Real Betis. And when you break this game down properly, you start to see a pattern that should worry Madrid fans. Because this wasn't just dropped points. This was a game they failed to control. From the start, Betis came in with intent. They dominated possession, finishing with 52% of the ball, nearly 600 passes, and a higher passing accuracy. They weren't just sitting back, they were dictating tempo. And that matters. Because when a team like Real Madrid allows the opponent to control rhythm, it immediately changes the nature of the game. Instead of dominating, you start reacting. Betis took advantage of that early control, registering 19 shots in total. On paper, that looks like complete attacking dominance. But here's where the game flips. Out of those 19 shots, only 4 were actually on target. That tells you everything. Plenty of effort, but not enough precision. Now compare that to Real Madrid. Only 12 total shots, but 8 on target. That is an elite conversion rate in terms of accuracy. So even though Betis had more attempts, Madrid were far more dangerous when it actually mattered. And this is why the game feels strange. Because statistically, both teams had control, just in completely different ways. Betis controlled possession, build-up, and volume. Madrid controlled efficiency, threat, and key moments. And usually, the team with better efficiency wins. But not this time. And the reason is simple. Mistakes. Real Madrid made mistakes that cost them the game. Not just small errors. Decisive ones. They recorded 2 errors that directly led to shots. And one of those errors led to a goal. At the highest level of football, that is unacceptable. You can't afford to dominate key moments and then hand your opponent chances for free. And that's exactly what happened here. It completely cancels out your attacking advantage. Now let's go deeper into the control aspect. Because this is where the real problem starts to show. Betis completed 573 passes compared to Madrid's 535. They also had a higher pass accuracy, nearly 90%. And more importantly, they completed significantly more passes in the final third. 138 compared to Madrid's 111. That means Betis were consistently progressing the ball into dangerous areas. Even if they weren't finishing well, they were always present, always applying pressure. And over time, that builds momentum. Madrid, on the other hand, were more direct, more vertical, less focused on controlling the game, and more focused on moments. That approach can work, especially with quality players. But it comes with risk. Because if your efficiency drops even slightly, you lose control of the game completely. And that's what we saw here. Another key detail: touches inside the box. Madrid had more, with 35 compared to Betis' 29. Again, this reinforces the same pattern. Madrid were more dangerous when they got forward. But they just didn't get forward enough. Because they didn't control the game long enough. Now defensively, there are also warning signs. Madrid only made 11 tackles compared to Betis' 17. They were less aggressive out of possession, less dominant in duels on the ground. Even though they were stronger aerially, winning 9 aerial duels compared to Betis' 2. That shows physical superiority in the air. But not enough intensity overall. And in modern football, intensity matters. Especially against teams that want to control possession. If you don't disrupt them, they settle into rhythm. And once that happens, you're chasing the game. Goalkeeping also played a role. Betis' goalkeeper made 7 saves. Madrid's made just 3. That tells you Madrid created real chances, chances that required intervention. But again, they couldn't turn that into a win. And that brings us to the biggest question. Why didn't Real Madrid win this game? It comes down to 3 things. First, lack of control. They allowed Betis to dominate possession and dictate tempo. Second, defensive errors. mistakes that directly led to dangerous moments and ultimately cost them. And third, over-reliance on efficiency. They were sharp, but not consistent enough in creating opportunities. They relied on being clinical instead of being dominant. And against a team like Betis, that's risky. Because even if the opponent isn't clinical, volume eventually creates pressure. Now, if you look at fan reactions online, the frustration is very clear. A lot of people are saying the same things. How do you have 8 shots on target and not win? Defensive mistakes again, same problem. We don't control games anymore. And that last point is the most important one. Because it's not just about this match. It's about a pattern. Real Madrid are still dangerous. They still create chances. They still have moments of quality. But they are not consistently controlling games. And that's a problem. Because at the highest level, control is what separates good teams from dominant teams. If you rely only on moments, you leave yourself exposed. And that's exactly what happened here. Betis didn't need to be perfect. They just needed to stay in the game. And Madrid gave them that opportunity. In the end, 1-1 feels fair on paper. But when you really analyze it, it feels like a missed opportunity for Real Madrid. A game where they had the tools to win, but not the control to secure it. And if this continues, it's going to cost them more than just 2 points. Because better teams will punish these mistakes even harder. And that's the real concern coming out of this match.